KG, were you bopping then? I think you were, mate. There's big.
Oh, man. I was looking out for the discount code for the Raphinha stuff, man.
Didn't find it. How's it going, everybody? I hope you're all doing fantastically well. We are back with something that I'm going to start doing on a Monday. It's going to be rotational settings in terms of personnel, but we're going to try keep it up. As I say, I hope you're all doing really well. We're here for the debrief, and I think we all need this. It's cathartic, it's therapy, it's something that everybody really needs on a Monday, even if it is negative. And it's just going through everything to do with Leeds United over the weekend. But I think what we need to do at this moment in time is talk about Leeds United in general as well, and the season that has gone by so far. So evening, fellas, how we doing? KG, you had a good day, mate?
Yeah, it's been brilliant. Yeah, the game has still been going over in my head, in all fairness. So it's just trying to work out exactly what's going on with this team, and also a few reality checks that kind of hit me in the face. So I'm interested to see if they have hit you guys too.
Yeah, 100%. Brownie, how was the trip back from Southampton, mate? Lovely.
Pathetic, just like the afternoon was. Like we said, Fireman Sam was better.
Oh, brilliant! Right, let's get some of the comments in. Miles says, "From a Leeds fan living in Southampton, that was a tough one to take." Yeah, I mean, we'll get into the nooks and crannies of it, mate. Good evening, says Michael. Martin says, "Truth is, as we all know, we should have bought a cam in the summer." Yeah, we'll get into that. Sean says, "Hello, everyone." Michael says, "Evening, guys." Okay. We'll get into your thoughts, guys. Keep getting your comments in the section below. But where do we start? Okay, so what I think we should do in this episode is I've said to the lads, come with a few bits that you want to discuss and you want to get off your chest. As I say, it's going to be quite cathartic. But, I mean, from someone who was down there, Brownie, A, what was the atmosphere like, mate? And B, I mean, what did you make of it, mate? We've not got your feelings on the game after, in the post match. So what do you think?
For the first time in a long time, I came away thinking we didn't even look arsed. We genuinely just didn't look arsed. There was nothing from the pitch. I mean, in the crowd, Leeds are Leeds. We backed the team to the hill, but there was just, at some point, we need something off the pitch as well, and there was nothing. We can't sugarcoat it. We can say, we can try and pick positives here and there, but Saturday there was nothing, and that's as blunt as I can really be. You're coming away, and I've always said we won't go down. We're too good to go down. We've got this, we've got that. We said that when we went down. We're too good to go down, and I'm still not in the category of we will go down. I'm still not. But if you look at the table now, it's 3 from 7. It's 14th and down already looking at the table, and we're in that 7.
Yeah, KG, I mean, I watched a bit of your live stream afterwards, mate. Good content as always. KG's link is in the description below. Everybody go check it out. But yeah, mate, I had a watch of it and you were spitting facts, mate. And you did it instantaneously, mate, after the game had finished. And I'm going to get into the facts in a little bit. I've got a few things written down, but it just seems at the minute that this isn't Bielsa's Leeds at all.
Well, see, this is one of the reality checks that's kind of dawned on me since that game, and it's kind of the thing that I've said in my post-match reaction too, in that has Bielsa been here too long and has got too loyal to some of these players? It just seems that there's a few guys here, no matter their form, that are just undroppable, and none of these players, apart from Raphinha and Calvin, you could put in that undroppable category. Like, there's certain play. I mean, how many times? I don't want to dig in on individual players, but I think we all know the players I'm going to be saying. But how many times can we just do this Rodrigo thing? Rodrigo, you give a bit more time because he's a newer signing, but the Burnley game aside, we've really seen nothing much else from Rodrigo that justifies 27 million. Roberts, I'm just tired of this that whole thing anyway. But as we're not getting anything from those two guys, why not just throw in a Joe Gelhardt? It's not like we're asking to put in he's unproven, but he's got some pedigree. You know, we're not just chucking in one of the other under 23s that no one's ever heard of. Let's give this guy a chance because he can't be giving us any less than what Rodrigo and Roberts are currently giving us. Drama, right back, move Shackleton into midfield, just do something different. Because one thing that, you know, and just for anyone that doesn't know who I am not Bielsa out one bit. I'm really not.
No, I don't think any of us are, KG.
No. But one thing I don't want to keep on hearing him say is, it's on me. I apologize. I'll learn from it. But then he just goes and does the same thing over and over again. Striking that defensive midfield role doesn't work. We've seen it so many times. And no matter how many dots and lines those stats people put on the sheet, it don't work in the defensive midfield for Pascal. But yeah, we're seeing it over and over again.
Yeah, for me, no Premier League team goes out and buys a Tyler Roberts. No Premier League team goes out and buys a Shackleton. No Premier League team goes out and buys a Strike for centre midfield. Take away the centre back, I'm just talking centre midfield. This is what I want to focus. The small squad in the Championship, we got away with it because we were the best team. So when fringe players were coming in, it didn't matter because them fringe players could go to any other Championship team and get in their team because we were the best. For example, Alpo Halm, he came in, did a job for a few games. He had a full season at Barnsley. He can go to another Championship team and play. Leif Davis came in for a few games. He's now at Bournemouth, Championship team. The fringe players that were coming in could walk into any other team in that division. So us having a small squad was all right. In the Premier League, our fringe players can't go and walk in to another Premier League team. And for me, that's our biggest problem. The size of the squad is just getting blown apart by the quality. It's the Premier League. We aren't the best team in the league. We're far from it. So I'm not sure how we can expect such a small squad to be beating these teams. And yeah, all right, we had 6 players missing. But Southampton had some key players missing as well. And when do we ever do a preview show, Connor, and we've got a full fit squad?
Yeah.
It never happens. So we can't keep saying we've got this player missing, we've got that player missing. We've just got a small squad and it just doesn't work in the Premier League. Go ahead. It's either I'm either fuming with Bielsa because he wants a small squad, or I'm fuming at the board because they're not giving it. Somewhere along the line, we need to know who wants the small squad. Is it Bielsa that wants it? Or I can't for the life of me believe that Bielsa's saying, no, I don't want a couple of players. I just can't get my head around it.
Yeah, I mean, and that's something else I was going to mention as well. It's not just Bielsa; it's about the chairman too, with the whole Foreshaw's tweets and everything else like that. It's about loyalty to the Championship squad that got us up. It should be a case of these guys just going, I know that the team spirit's good. I know a lot of them are friends, but if in order to fulfill the ambitions that I want, this is what he was saying. He wants European football in a couple of years. We're not getting European football with this current squad.
And just picking up on something you said then, KG, about the team spirit, they're all friends. I called it in the summer. I don't know if you remember, Connor. I've been in change rooms where team spirit and can gain you so many points. We lost 3, if not 4, huge characters out of that change room this summer. Pablo, Alioski, Berardi, and even throw Barry Douglas into that because he was behind the scenes all the time. That's 4 key figures out of that changing room gone. On Saturday, I looked around and it just there was just no lead. There was nothing. So from a team spirit point of view, big characters out of that dressing room have gone in one summer. I'm not saying they were starters. I'm not saying they were playing week in, week out. But it's not just games where a football club comes together. It's training. It's everything. And they'd been at Leeds for a long time, and to lose them all in one summer, I think that's an area that's just not been filled. We're now filling. I mean, look. I'm not getting mad, but the average age of that bench with a 30-year-old Adam Forshaw on it was 20. Take Forshaw's appearances out of it. Between that bench out of 8 players, there was 4 starts. 3 for Creswell, 1 for Somerville. That was it. 4 of the bench hadn't even played for Leeds.
I'm
not sure how we can expect that team to then compete in the Premier League when you've got a bench that haven't even played a game.
No, I mean, I think you're right. I mean, should we touch on the game a little bit? I mean, just the game in general. I mean, just obviously, you know, you might have seen my chat on my review on the weekend, and keep getting your comments in, of course. But I've never seen anything that bad under a Bielsa side. No way near. Even when we went through the barren run of Forest and Brentford, it was nothing like that. It almost felt. And I've never, ever thought to myself, there's a problem with effort and endeavour and energy and fight and determination. But out there, KG, there was nothing. It was an acceptance. We've lost this game. We won't stick to our principles. The press, I mean, let's just talk about the press for a little bit. Where's that gone? The press is completely non-existent. I think the only person who initiates any form of press is now Daniel James. I don't know where the overlaps have gone from the fullbacks. All we'd see from Leeds United over seasons upon seasons with Marcelo Bielsa was the fullbacks getting to the byline, cutting it back, and we'd pack out that midfield, and normally we'd create a chance. But that seems to have completely gone. The intensity seems to have gone from our game. And let me just read these out for the people who are saying, you know, we had six players out. Let's talk a little bit of facts here. The Man United game, we were absolutely hammered. That could have been 10. The Everton game, we should have been 4-1 down if Dominic Calvert-Lewin scores 2 one-on-ones. We retrieved the game, a little bit of momentum at the end. We might have been the better team, shading it, but overall Everton, in my personal opinion, were the better team. That's up for debate. Crew Alexandra, 75 minutes, we had to bring the big guns on, as in Patrick Bamford, but we already had a strong side out, couldn't break Crew down. Burnley, the last 15 minutes, we were the better team. For the rest of the game, in my personal opinion, Burnley were the better team. Couldn't capitalise. Liverpool, hammered. Okay, fair enough. But it could have been 10 again. Newcastle, we had the first half. They had the second half. Fulham, poor. Again, really, really poor in the Fulham game. And people seem to have missed that. It was Fulham's second string side as well. West Ham, better. Watford, I think we could start a team right now and we'd be able to beat Watford. Now, and then Southampton at the weekend. What I'm trying to say is, and what I'm trying to put out there, lads, is this isn't just because 6 players have been out. This is a continuation from a 4-0 defeat at Ajax and a 1-1 in pre-season to Blackburn, where we were also diabolical. It seems to be there's something in this side at the minute which isn't right, KG. What are your thoughts on it, mate?
Yeah, I mean, listen, we had that win against Watford, and then we had the international break, and you could see, couldn't you? People thought that we'd turn the corner just from that one result. But for me, and I said it on my match reaction for Watford, I said, I need to see a few more of these before I can get overly excited, because what I've seen previously doesn't match up to this. Because in all fairness, we should have beaten Watford by more. But because we're just so out of form, 1-0 just had to do the trick in that game. But for me, and I said this, we needed to change at least 4 of the first 11 for me and move some of these players onto the bench. But this was before I knew about the whole, put enough money for this last season's transfers this season and all that stuff. That was before I knew that. So once I realized that we weren't going to replace 4 or 5 of the first team 11, my expectations went down straight away. Because and this goes in with the people that want Bielsa out too, by the way. As bad as it is right now, if you get in another manager with this set of players, we will be talking relegation, because these set of players, a lot of them were mid-table championship players, and it doesn't work in the case that just because you've learned all these new tricks under Bielsa, you're going to carry on once he's gone. Just think of it as an office job. You could have a great manager, your team's bouncing, the work's all getting done, you don't mind going to work. Change your manager, got the same team doing the same work, but they change a few things and it becomes different. You slack off. That's what happens. And that will happen to a lot of these players. And that, to me, that drop is scary to think about with a few of these guys. I'll be completely honest. To see some of these without Bielsa, I think it will be an ugly sight for us, even worse than it is currently right now. I just feel that a few of these needed to be broken up in the summer. I just felt that we needed to inject, not even about what David's talking about leaders and everything, just quality on the pitch. Because if we're to believe that Liam Cooper is the captain that he is, that's great. But at the same time, not everyone's captain plays all the games. And that right now, Liam Cooper is starting all the games for us now. And that is one of the problems. It's not the only problem. So don't think I'm talking about Liam Cooper like that. Because I would say that our 4 centre backs are perfectly fine when they're all healthy. But that's another problem. We never have 4.
I mean, I'm going to touch on that. Cooper is the only one that's ever fit constantly.
And he's probably due an injury soon as well, because he's always got one every season as well. So
touching on the 6 out, Connor, you summed up them games absolutely perfectly. I agree with every one of them games you mentioned. Them 6 players haven't been out for all them.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
And we've struggled. So it's like, I mean, we touch on the centre back. I mean, does Robin Koch play for Leeds? He seems to be in every German squad, but I can't remember the last time. Come November, he'll be in the Germany squad. Yeah, he comes back to Leeds and never available. And it's becoming frustrating. And
Brownie? Are we? Is it getting to a point now as well where, I mean, KG made a really good point there, and he was talking about, you know, the summer and
yeah.
We looked at renovation, and that's what we thought when we got into the Premier League. We thought, and listen, we're still in the Premier League, we're still fighting. Hopefully we'll still be in it next season. But it was all about. It was all about developing year on year on year. And I think exactly what KG said. You're expecting these players in this season to be phased out. Now, what we're looking at right now is, and that's no disrespect, it's just certain personnel for a Conor Gallagher or potentially a Rodrigo de Paul, just upper in quality. Now, what we're essentially looking at now is players like Stuart Dallas, who notoriously is a right winger. He's been square pegs round all central midfielder where he was brilliant. Now he's playing left back, then he's playing right back. Jamie Shackleton, who's naturally a central midfielder, is slotting in at right back. And it just seems that how are you able to even get the best out of these players when they're not even playing in the normal position? And I'll just add to that as well. Raphinha obviously wasn't in the squad at the weekend, and for me, we're just way too overly reliant on him in an offensive capacity. It seems like the creativity, when you're ever at a Leeds game, Leeds just seem to funnel the ball to Raphinha. Now you go and do something. And that seems to be a real direct tactic that Leeds enforce. Now, alongside that, how are we still in a position right now where Calvin Phillips, and notoriously for a season, he can be out for 3 or 4 weeks. We've seen it at most for the past 5-6 years. How are we still in a position where he could come in next week and do his hamstring and out for 6 weeks, and we still don't have any cover? Now, for me, that it's just suicide, and I just don't see. I'm trying to think of positives and tactical ways around that, and maybe Strike in the middle, or Robin Koch in the middle, or Llorente pushing the TDM, which we were all told at the start, but we've seen that just doesn't work. So, what is the plan B?
Do you know on that, by the way? And it dawned on me over the weekend. Daniel James, not saying it's bad sign, not taking anything from him, became available, 2 or 3 days in the transfer window? Right late on, wasn't it, the Daniel James? He became available and we snapped it up. And we spent, 25 to 30 million. Therefore, we had 25 to 30 million for the whole of the transfer window to spend on a centre midfielder. And didn't. The 25, 30 million didn't just come out of thin air. It was there to spend. And we spent it on Dan James right at the end of the transfer window. If Ronaldo hadn't have gone to Man United, Dan James wouldn't have become available. So what would we have done? Just not signed anyone? Or would we have then gone and spent the 30 million on someone else in midfield? I don't know. But it just seems to me as we sat all the way through that transfer window and then snapped Dan James at the end. And every man and his dog who supports Leeds, we saw it at the start of this show, the first comment. We need a centre midfielder, an attacking midfielder. Like I said, I don't want to dig out players. You know my opinions on Tyler Roberts, Connor. Since Hull away, where we scored 2, Leeds have had 60 games. He's scored 2 and assisted 3. Now, them stats for a centre half are a disgrace, let alone our attacking midfielder. And I just don't get it. If centre half score more than 2 in 60 games, and it's true.
Yeah, I think even just in there's just aspects of our play as well. I mean, we're just talking about off air, the press, just the midfield covering the defence. And there's a lot of talk at this moment in time about the defence being poor, this, that, and the other as being leaky. But the midfield is just completely non-existent. And KG, I'm really struggling to see how Leeds rectify this. Is it in your opinion, is it all just about us getting to January and patching it up? I mean, what do you think is the long-term plan here? Because it just seems every single week you choke that midfield, you high press Leeds, and we don't know what to do. It's a real problem.
Listen, January is 2.5 months away. We've got a rough December to come. This October, for me, I was looking at going possibly undefeated. Not saying win every game, but maybe draw a couple, win not the other couple. But we've already started behind the 8 ball with a loss at Southampton. And it's funny with going forward, the midfield has been like this even last year, where people would just run through our midfield like they weren't even there. And that's why I always defend Calvin Phillips when he gets a bit of stick when people say he's not doing everything that he could do. Because he's doing the work of 2-3 midfielders. You see him chasing 2-3 midfielders at points when he's playing, because no one else is helping him out. And people go for our midfield. I mean, how many times have we seen opposition centre backs go up near to our penalty area this season?
Salisa man of the match again. I think he wasn't he?
Maguire did it. Man, I can't even remember. Matic did it as well for Liverpool. They're literally driving forward without anyone challenging them. Mateus Click for me, because we're not just going to go on to Tyler Roberts. Mateus Click for me. I said last season, I could tell the guy was struggling with something. Then it comes out at the end of the year, he's been playing injured, and that's fair enough. Okay, he's injured, but what I'm seeing from him, besides one game that he played all right in up to about 60 minutes, is the same Mateus Click that I saw last season. And there's nothing wrong with saying that some of these players, thank you for the promotion and everything like that, but this may be a step too far for you now. So we may have to try and move on. And I think that's something that a few fans have to get their head around as well. I've maintained that with 10 years time, let's celebrate the promotion squad and give them all the love that they deserve. But we have to start phasing a couple of these guys out.
To sum that up, and I've thought about this for a while, and I think some fans are struggling to get their head around it. But sentiment's great in football. We got promoted out of League One. If we still had sentiment, we'd still have Casper Ankergan, Jason Crowe, Neil Kilkenny and Michael Doyle playing for us. You develop, you move on, you progress. And yeah, they got the chance in the Championship, them boys that came up. But eventually we started cherry picking other players to come in. And I'm not saying get rid of them all, but at some point, we do need to. If Radrazani is talking Europe in 2 to 3 years, can you see that team that got promoted being in Europe? I think the biggest problem for Leeds fans is us finishing 9th last year. I think we massively overachieved, and are we paying the price for that? Would we be having this discussion now if we'd have scraped up finishing 17th last season? Would we be still expecting to be 8th or 9th? I think we all finished 9th and thought, it's not as tough as we thought, this league. But
well, just on that, I knew we was going to finish in the top 10 last year, because I don't just watch Leeds United. I watch all kinds of football, and I could see from the way that we play and the adrenaline of the first year back in the Prem that we would deal with a lot of the bottom half table teams, and I knew that we would get enough points over a certain amount of time. I didn't see the form that we had going into like the last 10, where we just looked really, really good.
Yeah, we did. Yeah,
we looked amazing, but you do have that promotion bounce when you've got a coach of Bielsa's stature. Obviously we see it with Norwich and teams like that. They don't have that because they don't have that, whatever it is that they need, but they don't have what we have. But I just knew.
KG, just on that point, just for you to add to that as well, have you noticed as well your likes of Wolves, who are considerably better this year? Crystal Palace is significantly better this year. It seems like teams in and around us have developed significantly, whilst Leeds, we just haven't, have we? It stood still a little bit, if we're being brutally honest.
Yeah, it stood still because I think that they're still relying on the team spirit thing. And for me, Radrazani's tweet about Forshaw, blue heart, yellow heart, kind of sums that up. People are asking, well, where's the central midfielder? He's saying Adam Forshaw. And again, it goes back to Brownie's point about where does Adam Forshaw play in the Premier League besides Leeds United? No one's taken Adam Forshaw.
We've got too many of them.
We've got
players that other Premier League teams wouldn't come and buy.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Far too many starting. And I don't know, like going back to touching on the game, I know I didn't understand the substitution, Rodrigo, Forshaw. I didn't get it. Yeah. I really didn't. We all watched Bamford play for England against Andorra. He got dragged after 60, didn't do much, didn't have much involvement in the game. Everybody was hammering the service. It wasn't Bamford's fault. It was the service. He wasn't getting the ball. There was no crosses going in. There was no through balls. Well, hang on a minute. There was none of that on Saturday, but yet it was Rodrigo's fault. But which one is it? Is it Bamford's fault for England, or was it Rodrigo's fault on Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, well, with Rodrigo, for me, it's about, like, okay, when Gelhardt came on and then he got moved up front, we saw Gelhardt buzzing around because he wasn't getting anything up front. No one was going to get anything up front in that game. But we did see Gelhardt from the TV anyway, Brownie, in the picture when Southampton had the ball.
Put himself about.
And for me, I don't see that with Rodrigo like Bamford does it when he's starved the service. He'll go looking for the ball at times. Rodrigo, for me, doesn't have it. And then when Harrison did manage to dribble one through and actually control the ball once on Saturday, the box was just empty anyway. And also
that's my concern. And it's all right, these players being neat and tidy, that gets thrown about, but you need to be in the box and score goals. If you're at the top end of the pitch, that is your job. Your job is to create and score, not run with the ball or do nice touches and go around 3 roundabouts. It is to put the ball in. It's the only stat that counts, the score at the end of the game. It's just becoming, like we said off air, like it was highlighted in the West Ham game. We don't shoot anymore. It's pass. Just someone pull the trigger. Like we said, it's like Arsenal under Arsene Wenger back in the day. Let's make the perfect goal. Just like to see us have a shot.
I think in terms of progression as well and going forward, I think we're hugely reliant on Luke Ayling, and I think that's been evident really this season for me. I think last season his ball progressions and that overlap which he provided consistently for Raphinha, their cohesive partnership last year was absolutely superb, and teams couldn't handle it. They could not handle it, and I think his form going completely out of the window, and obviously, him being out of the side in general, has contributed hugely to this. There's a lot of people talking about Alioski. I still don't think when pressed on, Alioski can deal with that at all.
I disagree. I disagree, and we disagreed on this so many times. I think Alioski was brilliant for Bielsa. How many times did you see him at the byline, pulling balls back?
I thought defensively he was very, very poor though, Brownie.
We're still defensively very poor. We're not getting anything at the other end. So we've lost that attacking side, but we're still defensively poor.
I think the interesting thing with that is as well with Alioski, I think what you're getting now with Firpo is a lack of overlaps, 100%, which is massively affecting us going forward. But I still think, we're 8 games into the season. He had a good game against Watford, but Watford were poor in general going forward. I think he's not adapted to the system, but we're 21% into the season. And
how many games has he missed out of 8? 2, 3?
Yeah, so he's missed a decent amount though still. But
but is that not a worry?
Yeah, it is. No, but I think you can even see with his play and how he's adapting to the game, it is a lot slower than, we've essentially taken someone who was indoctrinated into this system in Alioski, who'd been in it for 3 years. He completely understood the system. We've got rid of someone like that. We've brought in Firpo, and you always know with this Bielsa system, there needs to be an adaptation period. Normally with Bielsa, listen, it's 6 to 8 weeks, but Firpo's had to come straight in.
Doesn't that answer your own question? Doesn't that answer the question of why we don't look the same?
But then when do we ever move on then? When do we ever move on?
The whole Alioski thing, if he's the answer, then what's the question? You know what I mean? If we're relying on him, and it's all well and good saying that he was good going forward, but was he on the whole? Yes, he did overlap well with Harrison. That was a nice partnership down the left. But how many of those crosses used to go into the stands? How many times did he shoot like an actual left back and it would go over the stands? How many times would he pass the ball and trip over the ball? Like, I think people are kind of romanticizing Alioski now as if he was all that. But let's look at where he's gone. He's gone over to Qatar. Okay, he's not gone for any other competitive football. He's gone for a nice paycheck and to enjoy his retirement. And fair play to him.
He's gone for the money, absolutely.
Yeah, fair play to him. But again, he hasn't gone to another European or another league to be competitive. He's gone to Qatar.
The chance at St James's Park, Alioski puts away. The chance at home to West Ham when we're 1-0 up, Alioski puts away. And that's what we're missing at the other end of the pitch. Firpo just doesn't do anything at the other end of the pitch for me. It's
not yet. I would agree. He does seem. I mean, as I said, he's only just started, and it's the adaptation period we were just talking about. Yeah. But it is. He does seem very.
We do need to develop at some point, and I'm not saying Alioski was the answer to that, but I'm just saying I feel that Alioski offered more on the pitch as a whole than Firpo has so far.
There's definitely an argument for that right now. There is definitely an argument for that right now because I don't think we've seen enough of Firpo, and I don't think in these first.
Don't get me wrong, KJ. I'm not saying he's a better player than Firpo, but I'm just saying the way we play and like to get forward, Firpo he doesn't like to go over the halfway line.
Yeah, it's true with Firpo. I've noticed that Harrison will be on the ball or whoever's on the left, and you don't see that body just going past him and offering an option. Maybe that will come in time, though. But it's still.
Because he does look steady. He does look, like you say, defensively. Like you say, 1-on-1, I'd rather have someone running at Firpo than running at Alioski. 100%. Yeah, it's just finding that balance in it, and hopefully, like you say, Connor, it's that adaptation of. It has only been a few games.
Yeah.
What do you think? What do you think tactically then is going wrong at this moment in time? I mean, I know there's lots going on. Obviously, we played the 3-3-1-3 at the weekend, where we're notoriously poor. When the opposition has two strikers on the pitch, I think we just look. It just seems to be. Normally in that formation, what Bielsa tries to do is hit the wings and hit the centre forward, but it just seemed even at the weekend we were trying to play centrally, but people were hiding from the ball. Click didn't want the ball. Roberts didn't want the ball. It was going long to Rodrigo, and I know Rodrigo's getting a bit of flack, but in that 3-3-1-3, it has to go direct because there's no midfield. So when you've got a Rodrigo up against the Salisu and up against the Bednarek, it just seems going into the game. I understand Raphinha was absent. I understand, Bamford was absent, Calvin was absent and stuff like this, but I didn't understand the plan, KG. Am I being a little bit naive there? I'm open to someone disagreeing with me. And listen, it's Bielsa and he knows more than I will ever learn, but it's it just seemed like going long to Rodrigo, these passes from Melier, from obviously the goalkeeper position, which just goes straight out of play to short players in Harrison and James. It just didn't really seem, and we weren't able to build through the transitions whatsoever. Llorente's passes from the back were getting cut out. I don't know. It just. What can you answer that? I don't know what.
For me,
I really can't leave it for Brownie.
It goes back to the squad depth. They were the only 11 players available.
Yeah.
Just throw them 11 players out on the pitch. That's what you're right. The players not wanting the ball. There was a few throw-ins. Shackleton stood with the ball for a while. There was just nobody to throw it to. I felt at one point I felt sorry. I thought he was going to get booked for time wasting. He had it for that long. It was just looking around thinking, someone please just show
one thing that confused me, because I wasn't sure about Lewis Bates' availability. I thought he might have been hurt because he wasn't even on the bench. Why not give him a try?
I just don't.
It's got nothing to do with age. If you're old enough, you're good enough and all that. That's what I say. I don't care how old you are. And he looks like he's got something about him, much more than what we've got currently on offer. And that's what people have to remember as well. There's no transfer window, so we've got no choice here. But for me, give Lewis Bates a try in midfield. It can't be any worse than what we've seen so far. For me, Dallas probably needs a spell out. The team, I keep hearing about he's got personal problems. If that's the case, let's give him some time to deal with it. If that is true, But
That's
either way,
management has to deal with that, don't they, KG?
yeah. Either way, he's out of form. So for me, if Firpo was available, it would have been Firpo at left back for me, and Dallas come out of the team just for a game or something. Because
it's an interesting point, that, KG, about that bait. It is really interesting because we're going down the route of developing our youth, and we're bringing in all these great kids. Look, we've got players in the 19s, 20s, 21s of England sides. Yeah, he uses Adam Forshaw, who's 30 years old. Is he the future? Well, obviously, according to Radrizzani, he is the future and he's our centre midfielder. But
he's 30.
He's 30. Is he going to be playing Premier League football all next season?
No.
I don't know. If Radrizzani thinks he's the answer, maybe he will be. But the opposite is, and this is the strategy of how we're developing as a club. We seem to be focusing our recruitment far more into the youth than we actually do into the positions we actually need in the first team. Yeah. That's the feeling I'm getting. We all screamed for a centre midfielder. We didn't get one. Yet the youth team looks to be brimming with quality throughout. Like you say, Cody Drama. Obviously, Creswell, we've seen him.
Yeah.
Greenwood and Geldart, Somerville, the emergence of him. There seems to be a lot of quality in there, and we're putting all our eggs into the youth, but yet we're still using a 30-year-old Adam Forshaw.
Well, on that, Brandy, that's why when people are saying about don't get a lone midfielder because we don't want to develop them and do another Ben White, I mean, I just do not get that logic at all. That midfielder is going to benefit us, and if he plays extra well, that's only going to benefit us for that year. But what I was thinking is if they got in a lone midfielder and then Lewis Bate came in next season, then that's even better. He's got a year to develop in under 23s, maybe have a few off the bench appearances here and there. But right now, because we don't have that, and we couldn't have got Conor Gallagher for people mentioned him. He wanted to stay in London, and that is a fact as well. I know that. But we don't have that option right now, so we're going to have to try and shoehorn Lewis Bate in. And I think the kid's ready. I think you relish getting into this team now and trying to make some kind of difference.
What I quite like about him, from what I've seen in the under 23s as well, obviously covering them with my job, is his decision making. And when he's on the ball, it's the composure and the calmness in the centre of the park. And listen, I understand Premier League is going to be different. You're going to get a different element of high press and intensity. But what I like is how he's able to slow the play down, which we just don't have in the central midfield. What I find with Leeds United and watching them through the transitions and week in, week out is this. We have to move at hellfire and fury pace. If a degree is off in that pace going forward, one twos here, there, headless chickens moving around. If there is a pass which is 2 yards too long or whatever, the recovery in the midfield of the park is a straight off counter attack for the opposition side. And in the Premier League, a counter attack is absolutely lethal from any of the other 19 teams. And I think someone like Lewis Bate in the midfield, as you say, KG, we can't rely on a transfer window at this moment in time. So Lewis Bate is an option right there. Someone who is going to be hopefully on the bench with a couple of weeks to come, but someone like him dictating the play, his crossfield balls, his distribution is brilliant, his composure in the middle of the park. And I feel at this moment in time, have we got players that are sort of miles ahead of him in terms of ability in the middle of the park? I don't think so. No. I don't think it's not like we've got some real quality in the midfield, that a pedigree that's keeping him out.
The only thing we've got is experience. I mean, I touched on this before. We already have 8 players on the bench who've played 4 games between them. There was 2 centre-backs that I've just realised on the bench on Saturday. 2 centre-backs, 2 strikers, the keeper, McKinstry. I mean, what positions he seems to play all over. And Somerville as another winger. I mean, if there was ever a reason to put us in midfield, do we need 2 strikers, 2 centre-backs when we play 1 up top? I don't know. Could he have gone on the bench? Who knows? But I'm just very cautious of putting too many kids in. I mean, we touched on Fulham. We touched on Fulham game being part, and it really was. The Fulham game was part, and it was littered with the youngsters playing. That McKinstry, Geldart played, Somerville was on, Creswell, and we didn't really pull up any trees against a Fulham team. Now that's not saying Bate, because obviously Bate didn't play, but I'm just playing devil's advocate, and But if you put Bate into that on his own, then he's not playing with just loads of youngsters. He's playing with the first team players, isn't he? So
comes back to depth again, though, doesn't it?
Does come
Yeah,
back
yeah. But that's it. That's it on Brownie's point. Because for my thing is, because I like Cresswell a lot, by the way. For me, he's one of the 4 centre backs that we've got, main centre backs that we should be playing. But I'm talking about, say, Bate in there, give Geldhart a try up front, because it cannot be any worse than what we're doing. But it's also on the premise that we also have our other senior players in, like James, Harrison, Raphinha, all available, Calvin Phillips, all available to supplement those youngsters being there, not with just a whole bunch of youngsters that just play under 23s. Because again, the drop off from 23s the step up from 23s to Premier League is huge as well. So
we went,
but it's like that. I mean, squad depth, and I mentioned this as well. We never have a full strength 11. We never do, like ever. Whenever someone comes back in, there's someone else that goes out. We rarely ever have our strongest 11. So you would think with all the scouting and all the smarts that we have, they would say maybe we do need a couple more players. And that's one thing I'm hoping you guys can touch on it. That this period and seeing the players how they are now will make these guys in January go, maybe we do need to expand the squad with first teamers a bit more.
Well, I was going to ask that to Connor. Obviously, we've said what's going wrong. Where do we go? Do we spend in January? Do we have to?
Yeah, I mean, I put on my video the other day, and I think this is where we can come at it with a little bit of positivity. Listen, it's difficult, and I know a lot of people will be watching this thinking, "Oh, you're being doom and gloom." I think we've on this show right now, we've got 3 real people who, for me, I'm not going to blow smoke. I know these 2 aren't. It's about calling a spade a spade.
Just realism.
Yeah, being realistic.
It's really difficult, because I think we've seen on social media over the past couple of days as well. It's, if you're offering this sort of opinion, not a real fan, which is really difficult to get my head round. I mean, it's one of those where it just seems a little bit daft. But in terms of going forward and a little bit of positivity, what the club have to do for me is bring in 2 central midfielders in January and a striker. That's what we have to do, in my personal opinion. We need toughening up in that central midfield. We need more quality in that midfield as well. We need someone ultimately to help Patrick Bamford. I said on my review the other day, if I'm Patrick Bamford and I'm watching Rodrigo up front, this is no disrespect to Rodrigo, but I'm turning around, I'm thinking that's my shirt every single week. There's no competition there whatsoever. And it's difficult. It's really difficult for Leeds to have that element of competition in there. And I think that has to be rectified in January. Do I think that'll happen? Because of the remit of needing 6 to 8 weeks of Bielsa ball before you're able to be up to it? I don't think so. You look at Raphinha. Raphinha came in so early, and then his first appearance was against Aston Villa away in the last 5 minutes. So you need this spell, and that's why it's quite irregular when you look at Junior Firpo coming in straight away, but we didn't have an option. So that's what I would do. What about you, KG? What would you do in January if you were given the option?
Yeah, for me, it's exploring the loan market. This is a great time for players to move on loan. There's players that will want to play in the World Cup in December. So this is a great time if they're not getting first team football or the minutes that they think they deserve. And dare I say it, I mean, we've done business with Man United just recently. Maybe even Danny van der Beek, someone like that could come in on loan who's getting like 0 minutes. Imagine if we could get someone like him on loan. They would love it, because he's going to Bielsa, who is revered as a coach. So they get what they want. He's definitely starting in our team. You can find value in January. It's not about spending 20, 30 million. That's sometimes nonsensical to do in January, because that probably means the player isn't all that good, in all fairness.
But as well, KG, I didn't realise we'd be open to loans until the Conor Gallagher deal, where we're evidently open to it.
We have to be, because we can't spend 20, 30 million on every single player that we're going to bring in. It's just that just on a basic business level, that doesn't make any sense when you're not bringing in 20 or 30 million for any of your own players, unless it's one of the 2 jewels that we have, unless say they're not for sale. But that's another thing that we also have to think about. Let's just say that this form does go into December. Just say it does. Hopefully it doesn't. Fingers crossed, everybody, yeah? But that deal that Calvin is about to sign, is his agent saying, I mean, we've got a minimum fee release clause here. We might need to stick in a relegation release clause in here, Calv, if you're going to sign this deal. Things will start to change there. Raphinha and all his Brazilian mates that have been talking about him, all the Brazilian public that are going mad for him, they'll be saying, why is he playing in this team that's down near the bottom? He should be playing in a top 4 team. Because that's another thing as well. We haven't even mentioned that. But missing Calvin Phillips and Raphinha, they are 2 game changers for any other team in the Prem. We talk about like Forshaw and all these guys that wouldn't get in. Calvin Phillips, Raphinha get into every Premier League side. So those 2 being back will be a huge boost because that makes the opposition have to change their game plan for us. Southampton knew they didn't really have to do much on Saturday because I looked at the team sheet and said, what is going on here?
Psychologically as well, you see Raphinha and Phillips on your team sheet, not on it. So straight away you get a lift. We've been in change rooms ourselves. You get the team sheet from the opposition and the main player been playing, it's decent. So to have them both not on the team sheet is
So you just think a central midfielder loan option in January then, KG? Would you do anything else?
Not just one. We do need another striker. And I said this last season. I just thought if we weren't going to play, because at the time we wasn't playing Rodrigo as a striker, we was playing him wherever we could fit him in. We need another actual killer up front. And someone that could make Bamford think, whoa, my shirt maybe isn't as secure as I thought, because you need that competition. That's what I'm saying. A few of these players are way too comfortable in the team.
Yeah. You hit the nail on the head then, Connor, with the Bamford thing. He walks straight back into the team. Raphinha will walk straight back. Phillips walk straight back. There's no competition.
Click. It's just straight in, isn't it?
And I'll put this out to you there. I don't think our team is stronger than last year. I think our squad's weaker than last year. I genuinely do.
It's that X factor of Pablo. I know it sounds ridiculous, but it is having that X factor of Pablo Hernandez even just coming off the bench. That aura of someone like him, even Southampton. You thinking potentially, someone like him on the bench.
Bamford was being pushed by Nketiah. He was being pushed by Roof. Players that come in and score goals.
Yeah.
And that was just championship. And it's come full circle. When I said about the fringe players when we were in the championship, that was Struijk and Roberts. They start week in, week out now. And I hear this about Roberts needs to run a game. He got 13 games on the trot last year over a spell. He had 13 on the spin. And he's played He's played in every game this season. He played in that Crew game. The Roberts Rodrigo combination that couldn't break down Crew. Yeah,
I thought it was a real opportunity for him at the weekend as well. I was really I was encouraged, and I thought to myself, you know what, if he can, put in a performance here, we're up against it a little bit, with the personnel out, and you think to yourself, if you and the midfield can really grab hold of this. But I did look at the team sheet, and I do have to say this, I've got to be completely transparent. I looked at that team sheet and thought this is going to be a really, really tough day at the office.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, and just so it's clear for people that don't know, I think Gail's in the house, so she won't like this. But for me, Hernandez is not the answer. He was last season, man, and it's a shame. It's a shame, but it was the wrong age for him to be back in the Premier League. You could see when he was on the pitch.
I think what it was, Cage, is it's that element of, I know what you mean in terms of when he was on the pitch and there was a problem there, but it's that element of class still off the pitch. And even if he has a 20-minute cameo, we have no idea what's going to happen. There could be a little moment of magic. And I understand what you're saying there, but when you look at the bench at Southampton, I still think a Pablo Hernandez on that bench would obviously improve it.
I'd rather be bringing him on than Adam Forshaw with 20 minutes to go.
Yeah, and that is
we've gone full circle. That is the squad depth. That is what we've got to work with, and that's what I think our issue is in the Championship. The squad depth, we got away with it because we were the best team. 1 or 2 players out, 1 or 2 players coming in, we would still win the games. 2 or 3 players out in the Prem, you're in trouble with a small squad.
I tell you what, I've got a quick positive one. I can just remember it now. So maybe you guys will like this, but at least none of our players, and thankfully Calvin Phillips wasn't playing in the game, so his PR team couldn't do it. But they're not sending out any tweets or anything yet saying we need to get better like other clubs. That is something that I would absolutely hate to see because, like I said, I'm already sick of Bielsa blaming himself and then doing it again. I don't want to hear no apologies. I want to read no apologies. I just want to see them get better on the pitch.
Yeah, I'd agree. Yeah, I'd agree with that. Yeah, yeah, you see it, don't you, when teams have won and it's all high five, pitches in the chin. It's win or lose, just keep it in house.
Move on to the next one. Yeah.
So if you're looking at, obviously Wolves next, when you're looking at this side, obviously Wolves are flying at this moment in time. Bruno Lage doing a really good job. But when you look at Wolves, I still look at that on paper. And, you know, at the start of the season, you naturally look at everything on paper, don't you? You've not seen his side perform or anything like that. But I did look at Wolves and I thought, listen, they did the double over us, but they were tight games in terms of just score. I think they nullified us quite nice. It's going to be the 3-4-3 again, which we've not experienced this year, which hurt us a little bit against Wolves and Brighton. Going up against the Wolves side, obviously we'll have players returning as well, but what do Leeds need to do differently?
Run.
Simple as that.
You're laughing, but I mean, I read a tweet. I don't know who it was for. It was someone it wasn't Phil here, but someone of that ilk. And we're running far less than last year, and it's showing. It really is showing. So when I say run, I know it's a bit tongue in cheek, but I don't want to say effort because that's a bad thing to say because obviously they're putting effort. But I mean, touching on Dan James, so far we've heard he works hard. I'd expect every player to work hard. I'm not paying
25 million as well.
Not paying 25 million for someone to work hard. I want to see products. I talk about Tyler Roberts with end product. Others have got to chip in as well. It's not just a Tyler Roberts bashing. Dan James has had a few opportunities. I think he should score at the weekend at the away end. Honestly, I think he should. He's got him behind, and I think he should score that. Jack Harrison, he's been in and out. There's only really Raphinha Bamford hasn't produced this season. There's only really Raphinha, the gut from a goal point of view where we look dangerous. So it's just that end product final third for me. Look at the Watford game, 1-0 could have been 6 at half time. And West Ham, when we were 1-0 up, we had a good couple of chances. Click again. Could have put us 2-0 up. A minute later, it's 1-1. And I just think that we talk about us defensively so much, but I just think in that final third, we need more.
I'm gonna ask a really direct question now. And, you know, people in the comments might not like it, but I'm just fascinated to hear, obviously, 20% of the season gone. And looking at the other sides, you've seen a lot of the sides play. Obviously, KG, you say you watch a lot of football. Brownie, you do as well. So, you know, you sort of get a gauge on the other sides in the division. From what I've seen so far, I think Norwich and Watford are much worse than we are. I look at other teams. I think Newcastle are obviously going to improve in January. They're probably going to bring in 3 or 4 decent signings. They're not going to be world class, but Southampton, maybe there and thereabouts. Burnley, are Leeds in a relegation dogfight this season for you two? Just out of curiosity, and everybody in the comment section, or do you think there's going to be a springboard and we're going to end up mid-table / Europe?
Brownie, do you want to go first?
Brownie, you know why I'm saying it though, mate. They've got to have a caveat in there because people in the comments will have a subjective opinion. People have different opinions, mate. You know.
Well, I do think we'll win the League Cup, so there's your Europe element.
I would like that.
I would like that. Don't agree with it, but I'd like it.
There's my positivity. I'd snap your hand off at 17th in a League Cup.
Well, yes, I mean, but where do you genuinely believe? Do you genuinely think we're in a bit of a fight this season?
I've said that. I think from the league table now, I think it's from 14th down. I mean, Palace. I'm not going to show the game and get copyrighted again, but am I allowed to say the score? Is that allowed? I don't understand.
You can do the score, yeah.
But they're not losing. I'll put it that. So I think it's from Palace down, which is 7 teams, and we're in that 7 teams. I don't think we'll go down. My opinion will change in 2 weeks' time if we don't win at Norwich.
Can I ask you? You know, you said we won't go down, and you just mentioned at the start. You said no teams, you know, good enough to go. You know, good enough to go down. Your squad can't be good enough to go down, sort of thing. Yeah. What you? So we've just spoken about a poor pre-season, poor recruitment.
Which I did pull. I remember in the summer I did say that. I said that pre-season was horrendous.
So
and then 4 games in a week.
So Brownie, what's encouraged you to come out right now and say that, you know, we are not in a? You don't think we're in a dogfight? Well, what have you seen so far, which has given you a bit of encouragement?
Well, I said before the season, and I thought Norwich would go straight down. Watford at Ellen Road were a disgrace. Whether they have a springboard under Claudio Ranieri, I don't know, but they were possibly one of the worst. Even in the Championship, were one of the worst teams I've seen at Ellen Road for a while. just the flash. We've competed against an Everton. We've competed against a West Ham. Newcastle, we should be out of sight at half time. But on the flip side, that them 7 teams that I've mentioned at the bottom, we haven't beat Burnley, we haven't beat Newcastle, and we haven't beat Southampton, and they're in them 7 teams. So it's one of them. I don't think we go down. Like I said just then, I think my opinion will maybe change on the 31st of October if I'm coming back from Carrow Road and we've got beat. Then obviously I will waver. But for me at the minute, I still think there is more than enough, and I'm clinging on to that fact that there's Raphinha to come in, Phillips to come in, Bamford to come in. That's quality. That is quality, and that's quality that the bottom 3 clubs will not have, whichever 3 teams that go down. That's why I don't think we'll go down. We have got quality. And I do think, like you two said, I think we had 1 or 2 in January as well.
KG?
Will push us a bit further up.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I don't think we're in a relegation dogfight as of today, but it's more about the next few games. We're 8 games in now, so we can't say that this is just a little bit of it now. We're 8 games in. There's a pattern. And like I say, I've seen Watford play in a few games, and a few of these others. Southampton are terrible, man. We made them look like they were prime Barca. It was incredible just how good we made them look. I think I keep going back to it, but I swear they've only accumulated 20 points in the whole of 2021, including that win against us. That shows you just how bad they've been, and we made them look good. Burnley, they haven't won a home game in ages, and we made it look difficult. We made it look like it was a tough place to go. West Ham, we should have put them away. And unlike other, last year and previous years under Bielsa, when we went 1-0 down against Southampton, I didn't think we were going to get back in it. And that was very unlike how we've been. Because even when we're down 2-3, I still think that, hey, these guys will still get going, but they're not getting going right now. So
just on that, I'm not saying we're getting tired. I'm not going down that rhetoric. Newcastle away at 1-1, we weren't throwing kitchen sink at them.
No.
Yesterday, 1-0 down, we weren't throwing the kitchen sink at them. Did we ever look like creating anything towards the end of the game? I watched Brentford Chelsea, 1-0 down. They could have scored 3 in stoppage time, Brentford, and I don't know why that is. We've not going at teams. It just seems lethargic. That's the word I'm looking for. We just seem lethargic.
That Newcastle game, Brown, you just mentioned, I remember it vividly because we was in injury time, 89 to injury time, and Cooper and whoever else was back there were just passing the ball to each other like we were up 2-1. It's like, well, we could get the win here, get these fans on their back. It was before the takeover and everything. But they would just seem content with the point, which is very unlike us. We got better with managing victories towards the end of last season where we was managing the game much better. But not at a 1-1 draw, surely not. But like Brownie says as well, Raphinha and Phillips to come back, Bamford gives me hope over a few of these other teams that are just so poor. But at the same time, we're one of the poorest teams in the league right now too, because we're below Watford.
In the next in the next 2 games, I just want to touch on the next 2, obviously, because they are absolutely pivotal. Wolves at home, Norwich away. What are the expectations? Is it got to be minimum 4 points?
You don't want to know who's just scored. Sorry.
Oh no!
Did it click? Click's replacement.
It's now 3 from 6. I'm joking.
Nice.
Like 4 from. Yeah, we need a win out of one of. Well, we can't go to Carrow Road and not win.
Yeah, I just want to make it clear as well. For me, I will be judging about relegation dogfight after these 2 for me, because October for me was just was such a nice run of fixtures when it comes to Premier League that this gives you more of an idea. 10 games is more than enough to let you know where you're at.
10
like
games.
The comment just said, 6 points. 6 points puts you mid-table.
Well, it puts us on 12. It puts us on 12 out of 10, which isn't actually a bad return.
No, and looking at the table now, we'd be on 12. It'd be top half. 2 wins, and then you think, what's all this doing? But on the flip side, don't pick up then, and the gap's just going
so
like
performance,
that.
it's just from what we've seen so far and the performances that are leading us to this, isn't it? It's Leeds are definitely capable. Leeds are definitely capable of that, but we've not seen anything so far to validate that.
8 games in, taking Watford out of the equation, we haven't seen a full 90-minute performance.
No, not even close. No.
Which is a worry. But then when you flip it around, Burnley don't have a Raphinha, Phillips, or Bamford. Neither do Norwich. Neither do Watford. I'd throw Southampton into that mix. They got rid of Danny Ings. I don't think they have a goal scorer. That's the only thing that's given me hope. We've got creativity, goals, and an England international to come into our team. But how often are we saying that? We're missing players. We're missing players. We seem to have said it week after week.
Yeah, I'm still Brownie. I'm still assessing the Wolves game right now because it all depends on who we get back in. If Raphinha's back, which he should be, Phillips should be back because it looks like that was a late fitness test that was failed, right? Because all his stuff was there.
Yeah,
that kind of changes it for me. But it's that Norwich game. If we do not win that Norwich game, I won't be happy. I don't care who plays for us because Norwich.
They've scored 2 goals of Norwich.
Yeah, they're abysmal. They are. We're bad right now. Norwich are just here for the party. We should be going there and winning. We should be beating Norwich City.
But we never make anything easy, do we?
No, that's the thing. We would be the team to give them their first win, their only win of the season. Yeah.
What's your thoughts on that Raphinha thing? He's flown back. He's got to Southampton. He landed the day before. He's got to Southampton. I'm not being funny. I know he's been to the other side of the world. He can run for 20 minutes. That is my personal opinion.
Oh, I see. Okay. Well, my thing was if he's going to be there at Southampton, put him on the bench so we can come on and stop what was going on the pitch.
If we're 1-0 down or 0-0, I mean, you allowed 3 subs. There's 9 people on that bench. 9. I don't understand why he wasn't on the bench.
He was sitting behind. He could have just sat on the bench and not be used. He could have been an unused sub and let that be that.
But if he sat behind the bench, that makes it even worse. Just sit a yard further forward. Sit on the bench. I mean, 20 minutes to go, 1-0 down, you bring Raphinha on. It's a bit different, isn't it? I just wondered what you thought, Connor, about him not being involved at all. I didn't get the whole purpose of rushing him back for him to then just sit and watch.
Yeah, it was it was so frustrating, wasn't it? Seeing him there, and if anything, he looked a bit miffed off as well. I don't know if he was it was because he was tired, but yeah.
But take it from a player's point of view. You've been at the other side of the world. Take it from you, okay? Say you've been on holiday or you've been on your honeymoon, your stag do, whatever it is, and you've rushed off your last night. You've flown halfway around the world on a private jet to get back for work. You've got to work, and they've said, "Oh, we don't need you in."
Yeah, interesting comment here from Steve as well. Villa played their Brazil players, but I don't know, Steve, if the Villa players played against Uruguay. Obviously, Raphinha played 70 minutes, so I think that might have been a bit of a differential there.
But would that not miff you off? Like you say, look miffed off. Obviously, I haven't seen the pictures, but if you look miffed off, I can understand why you would. If you've flown halfway around the world to rush back for work, and then you get to work and they go, "Oh, don't worry about it, Connor. Don't need you in work today. Just sit and watch lads typing up on computer." You'd be like, "What the hell have I just rushed over here for?"
Yeah, if he wasn't going to play, just leave him at home. Just leave him there.
Guys, as well, there is 420 of you watching right now. If you wouldn't mind subscribing to the channel, make sure you subscribe to Cage as well. Follow Brownie's Twitter. The link will be in the description below. But yeah, we're going to get through some of these comments now, guys, before we round up. Thank you so much for tuning in and staying with us. It's been the debrief. Hope you enjoyed it. Seems like a lot of people have, which is great to see. JS says, need to strengthen in January. Simple as. First team squad is paper thin. Need a few more competition for starters who are senior players rather than under 23 kids as good as they are. Steve Bond says, these players are pros. They ought to know the basics. The manager is not responsible. And what I will say is Steve's right in terms of the weekend, it doesn't matter how many players we had out. The basics in terms of decision making, passing to your mate who's 5 yards away, not kicking the ball out of play when you're under no pressure whatsoever. You know, it was just the basics of being a footballer who's on good money, who's been brought for good value. You know, you still forget that forward line is worth 63 million. You do think just some of the basics just weren't on point at all, really.
Oh, Connor, Hannah Lucy makes a point there, and it's a lot what I'm saying there. She's saying need to start playing players on previous form and play on current form, and that's what I'm saying. There's a few players here that because they've got a captain's armband or helped us get promoted, and it's that thing as well. Bielsa's been here longer than he's been anywhere else, and I just feel that he's maybe grown too loyal to a few of these players. I feel like in 20 years' time, he's going to send out a letter to Pascal Struijk and say, I wish I played you more at centre back instead of, but I just didn't do it. He's going to have an apology, though, It
is a good point, though, like you said, KJ, and like Hannah says, like for years, how many times did we see when we saw an England squad come out, oh, how's he in it? He's not on form. We should be picking players on form. It's the same situation at club level. If they're not on form, you can't play. Form's massive in football.
Yeah.
Yeah, Padraig says Southampton are the second most pressing team in the league. When we play these sort of teams, we get figured out. And that is true. Any sort of pressing team that Leeds come up against. I mean, we even saw it with Burnley in the first sort of 40 to 50 minutes. We were really, really struggling with that intensity and press. And it's because we don't have any. I mean, this is, people hate this cliche term, but it is the press resistant players, isn't it? Do you know what I think of when I think of press resistant? I think of John McGinn. You can have 3 or 4 players on him, and John McGinn is somehow able to move the ball and rotate the ball, and he's just excellent at doing that. And just the problem with Leeds is it is just that person to get the ball when we're under pressure and just be calm and composed in that situation instead of just decision making it, passing it a bit off kill, or not being able to move forward with the ball under that pressure and pass the ball back to Meslier, which we seem to be doing a lot of. Steel Owls. Everybody have a wave to the Sheffield Wednesday fan in the chat, enjoying time in League One. Delete club.
To be fair, there we go. I thought we'd gone back to 1997 when I saw Wimbledon versus Sheffield Wednesday. Then I realised it was League One fixture.
Shots fired. There we go. I still think they're dining on that 6-0, even though KG was there, and that was great. Didn't need to bring that up, did I, KG? I didn't need to bring that up.
That was horrible.
Imagine a debrief after that.
Oh, that was so painful. That 6-0, and then what was it? The first shot, it was like Rudy Yassin. It was like a daisy cutter, wasn't it? That was on target. It was, and all the away crowd was just like, "Hey!" It was awful. Oh my god!
Was that the day that I'm sure it was? Matt Smith came on, threw an elbow, walked off.
Straight red. Straight red. We'll see a couple more comments. Gareth Davis says, guys, how long are we keeping Rafa for? How long's a piece of string, mate? How long's a piece of string?
I think this season. Yeah. But like I said,
already go on, mate.
Like I said to you the other night, Connor, you don't know his character. Yeah, every player wants to play at the top of how high they can, but he's playing at a club that have got him into the Brazil squad. So he might be eternally grateful that Bielsa's got him into the Brazil squad. I might be clutching at straws and hoping beyond everything that I want. Yeah. It's one of them, innit? If a Man City or Liverpool or whatever come in with 80 million,
yeah. I mean, for me, I would. It's all hope with Raphinha for him. If he's here next season for us, it's a bonus because for where we're going to finish this season, we shouldn't have a player like Raphinha next season, if we're being honest, because he should be in the Champions League doing his thing. But if he does stay another year, if he does stay another year, then it will be great. But I'm just going to keep enjoying him while he's here, and just revel that we've got this absolute top class player. Because as soon as he goes to another club doing the same things he's doing at Leeds at another club, he's going to be called world class. Okay, and you know how it is. It's just because he's at Leeds why he's not getting the full respect he deserves. But he's a top player, and we can't. That's as well a point that Connor's making about like on Twitter when everyone says you can't criticize. But those same people that would say if we finish 17th, it would be great. They also expect to keep Calvin Phillips. They also expect to keep Raphinha as because they love they love Leeds and all that stuff. Like, some people just don't get that the football's a business. We're the ones that love Leeds. We're the fans that love Leeds. But these players, they come and go, but we'll still be here after. That's why I'm always club first before players.
Like KG says then about
that's how it has to be.
About business, like KG says, the price has to be right for me as well.
Yeah.
How many times have we seen down the years selling off assets for peanuts? Or, well, maybe not peanuts, but we thought should have got more than that for him.
Yeah.
I mean, even Janssen, I still think we should have got. He's a Premier League centre half now. I still think we were done in that deal, to be honest. But that's going completely off topic. But for Raphinha, it's got to be the right deal, and I don't know how much you guys think is the right deal.
Well, I've said if he signs a new contract and he wants a release clause in there, it's got to be, as we stand today, at least 75 million. At least. When you consider what other players have gone for that are nowhere near the ability that this guy is a game changer like this man is, it's at least 75, and I'm being generous with that.
What did Sancho go for?
70 something. Pepe went for 72.
Was it? I thought Sancho was more. I'm just. You talk about them players, Pepe, Sancho, Raphinha is top of that list.
By a mile.
By a country mile.
I think the only problem with Raphinha at this moment in time, it's such a small sample size when you look at how long he's actually been at Leeds. I think if he was at Leeds for a longer period, a la Jack Grealish at Villa, there'd be a bigger sample size for them to put maybe more money down.
Well, then that's for us. That's for us to say no, thank you. Then.
Yeah. That's you go. Well, thanks for the offer, lad. But this guy's a Brazilian international now, so
yeah.
And there's got to be tax, right? There's got to be tax. It's like when you look at him straight away, it's 75, 80 million, and then if the big clubs are coming calling, City, whoever, you've got to have 20 million tax on top of that. That's just smart business, surely.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, listen, Connor, that's what happened with us with Dan James, because we're historical rivals with Man United. If Leicester had gone in for Dan James, it would have probably been 15 to 20. But because it's Leeds United, we got hit for 25. Going on to 30, whenever that will be.
And the fact we had an entire Amazon series based on him.
Yeah. And just another thing on Raphinha. I mean, I don't know what you guys thought, but when I saw him watching the game, I was thinking in his head, he's just played with Neymar, who's giving him one-touch passes and scoring, and he's watching like Harrison and Dan James can't trap cement. He was thinking, Jesus.
I said that on my video, and it didn't. A lot of people didn't like it, but I thought to myself, like, if he's coming back, if he's talking to Neymar, and I wonder if Neymar is like, who do you play for again? Leeds? Who? Leeds? Like, it's just you can see it, can't you? You can just.
Listen. Just if Raphinha did have to go, and I mentioned this in my Raphinha video on my channel, but ideally, I would love to see him go to PSG, because they're going to lose Mbappe to Real Madrid for possibly nothing. Neymar will want his Brazilian boy with him on the right-hand side. It just makes sense for everybody, and we don't have to see him in another Premier League shirt.
I couldn't imagine. I couldn't stand that. Him just coming up against Luke Ayling when we've still got Luke Ayling in 2026. But I tell you what, there, guys, I've taken up a lot of your time. I've really, really enjoyed it. I've wanted to get this sort of thing going for a while now. I think Monday's the perfect time to do it. Brownie, KG, thank you so much for joining me. Honestly, I've really enjoyed it. I can't believe how many people we've had watching as well. It got to about 450 at one point. So make sure you go check out KG's channel. Some great stuff on there. As I say, Brownie's opinions on Twitter are always there. The links will be in the description below. And
imagine what it'd be like when we win.
Connor, come back. That's what I'm saying. I wish I came on when we was in a better position. Everyone probably thinks I'm one miserable git. I got Kurt Cobain on. They probably think I'm gonna off myself or something. But
tell you what,
I'm really an optimistic guy, guys. But listen, there was just nothing I could get from Saturday.
When we beat Man City away, my word, it was like walking on water.
Yeah,
it was, yeah, and that's fans, isn't it? We're all up when we're up, and we're down when we're down, and it is. Unfortunately, after that Southampton, guys, it's a therapy session that Liam G has said is needed. So thank you so much for joining. If you haven't liked already, make sure you do so. Subscribe to the channel. Keep getting your comments in. I'll respond to them, guys. We will see you next week with another debrief. Cheers.